Hello there, and welcome to the Time Film Podcast, where we talk film, TV, games, and all that jazz that's no tomorrow. This week we're talking about Last Night in Soho. My name is Tom, and as
Ooh.
always, I'm joined with my co-host John.
Hey, what's up?
This is
So,
gonna be fun.
oh my God.
We went
Like
to see Last Night in Soho last night, didn't we? Last night.
last night. And this was just an experience. It was just an amazing experience to have in the cinema. Like, oh my God, Edgar Wright is a genius.
He
Edgar Wright,
is.
he is.
Let's
Like
just let's just
everything
get
that
straight into it.
uh
Just
yeah, let's
yeah,
just get
just
into it.
go. Keep going. Just talk to me.
Spoilers.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, like huge spoilers. Like no matter what, unless you've seen the film, I would say that this is probably not the best idea to listen
Please
to.
do
There's
not
a,
do not get do not get any spoilers for anyone. Like this
no.
is a really crazy film to go through, and like it's just so crazy, this film.
Yeah, there's
um
so many layers, so many different like elements to talk about, and I thought that based on the second trailer, which Edgar Wright does recommend you not watch, I did think from the second trailer that there was quite a lot of spoilery stuff in there, but no, in fact, it was actually like there was still so many surprises and interesting elements to kind of talk about. So,
yeah.
give me your opening thoughts. What did you think?
um it is just like a frightening film to watch, but also like it's just like that psychological horror that that we delve into this film with Ellie, and we explore the life of the 60s, but also the present day of her life, how we connect her as a person, but also we connect that present day into the past. And it just works so well about like,
Mhm.
the conceptions that we have about the 60s as this glamorous life, to Ellie's eyes, with the music, with everything, but also it just goes to like the darkest, the dark version of London, you know, uh,
Yes.
and it's just like links to the present day as it's just so cool what they've done throughout this film,
This
especially
isn't
like
this
the
isn't
detail.
yeah, go on.
Yeah, yeah, with the details, like especially in the division where at the first vision ever, where Ellie is in the mirror and she's really just like catching her Sandy's movements, and it's just so perfect how they've done that, and it's just like
Yeah,
mind blowing. Of
a lot of practical stuff as well. Yeah, the very first mirror shot is practical. Some of that stuff.
no,
This is a yeah, that's practical. They use the
no,
the
uh,
actors who play the like the people who take the coat is actually James and Oliver Phelps, who played the Weasley twins in Harry Potter, which is a
no
quite
way.
little, yes, little thing that I noticed in the trailer, and yeah, it's really fun. But yeah, like this is an Edgar Wright film like no other. When you go and watch an Edgar Wright film, they all have the same, tropes and like similar conventions in their visual style and in the way they're edited and just in the way that they're put together in general. But this is so different from that, and that's not a bad thing at all. This film
No,
is almost the most mature Edgar Wright film. It deals with some really dark themes and themes that are completely different from anything that he has, explored before in any of his other films. And they're all, most of them. I'd say Scott Pilgrim is the only one that isn't like aimed towards an adult audience. But even then, I said this one is the first one that really does. I mean, it's the only one that's an 18 here in the UK. So I say it's the only one that really kind of explores that mature side to it.
yeah, and like it's such, as you said about like being such a different film from what Edgar Wright has done. He's done like mostly comedies, and this is just like mind blowing of how he just really done so well on this horror story. Just like I can tell that he spent so long on this horror story, like just it's just great. Like with the music, it's just great with the music.
Yeah, he brings his signature. Like I guess like every single one of his films, but obviously it's specifically Baby Driver. They really
Mm.
use the music well, but this one, uses it in such an interesting way because, like the songs they use in the lyrics take on different kind of meanings throughout the film. As you said, like the nostalgic view of the 60s kind of like shifts from something that's, more whimsical to darker, and they really use the music to encapsulate that, I think, really effectively throughout the film. Yeah, that whole thing, I think it flips a lot of what you expect from Edgar Wright on its head. you know like you kind of used to a lot of like conventions, and I think this film proves that no matter what Edgar Wright does now, I'm there for it, man. Like,
Uh,
he could
it,
do anything. He could do a sci-fi. He could do like another action film. He could obviously he was going to direct Ant-Man. He could do a comic book film if you wanted to, any of that. And I think that I'm there for it. I don't think there was a genre now that he couldn't do really effectively. Now that, after his first 6 films, I don't think there's a genre that he couldn't do justice to. And there are other directors who, while I love them, I think are very restricted in the kind of stories they can tell. But I think Edgar Wright has really, he's pushed himself, and I think it's really, really worked.
yeah, and with it's just like a proper horror story. You know what I mean? Like, the way that I look through horror films, like there's some of this different stuff. Like yesterday we were talking about Scream, the film
Yes.
that was like supposed to be satirical, but again, it was like really serious about like the horror film, but then it just went of like the cheesy conventions of horror, like
Yeah.
the chick that dies first, just like
Yeah.
Scream is like that. But this one was like, it was a really heavy psychological horror. Like at the beginning, it was just straight away heavy, especially when Ellie looks into the mirror and sees her mother, but then the mother disappears, and that clean cut of that like scene. Oh, she's not there, so we know what we're in for, and then we get like the real life situations about like university,
Mhm.
and the people who are really toxic, and
Yeah, there's
that
that like comparison between, toxicity in the 60s and similarities between that and toxicity now. You still, in the very first scene where they go out, they go to the pub, you get a similar thing that in the 60s you have, men taking advantage of women, and like really kind of being like really like assholes to them, and you get that again in the present day. This film kind
yeah,
of makes a stance, and it never says that these issues have been resolved or that they're issues of the past. It's a film that really criticizes the male gaze. And I think that was,
yeah,
I said this to you yesterday after we watched it. Some people have said that this film wasn't sexy enough. And that, that kind of proves the whole point of the film.
that's
It's
annoying.
critiquing this
Yeah,
male gaze that, is constantly objectifying women. And I think that is really important conversation to have. And I think that this film, it does it really
yeah,
well. It doesn't, I don't think it becomes too preachy about it. But it
no,
also, it, like, for example, Matt Smith's casting for us in the UK,
oh
we know Matt Smith as the Doctor. We know him as a hero. We know him as a good guy, and his casting as
no,
somebody who is that hero or a good guy who then becomes like a really like bad person, who ends up becoming Sandy's pimp, and like taking
yeah,
advantage of her in such a horrible way. Things like that, I think, really are really like well executed.
yeah, and the one the character that was so good throughout the film was like John.
Yes.
My man,
Yeah.
he was man, be like John. Like, come on,
Yeah.
you just like, yeah, throughout the film he was like this hopeful like representation of what men, what could be like really respectful, towards women. And then like this whole like mirror to the 60s. Like there's like a huge juxtaposition where, spoilers, at the end, you know, it reveals that Sandy didn't die, but
Yeah.
she killed all those men. And it's like how she was treated, like what she didn't want this life, but then there's this hope, you know, there's a new generation of people like John can be, you know, have a turn, you know, be really nice to other people and have that, the idea of respect. That I really like that, you know, that whole mirror to that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. John is perfect because, you know, he juxtaposes the, you know, the creepy and like uncomfortable old white men that we get throughout the film. And obviously, like, just simply, you know, he is a pure, just nice, you know, he's young, he's black, you know, he's exactly the opposite. I think the juxtaposition between them, you know, visually and, you know, like the fact that, you know, the 60s and the present day, I think he's really good at that. And even when, you know, Ellie is, you know, what everyone thinks Ellie's going crazy, and he still sticks out for her and he helps her as much as he can. And I think it was really, really good to have him like that. And I think what the film does so well is it doesn't make it so. I was worried at the end when Ellie has been drugged by old Sandy. I was worried that John would come in and save the day, and it would be a whole kind of like, oh, the man is the hero. But they didn't do that, and I was really appreciative of that. That final scene escalated the stakes continuously the whole way through, and I think it was just masterful the way that it did that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And the way, you know, that when John got stabbed, I was like, no, no, no. Like
my
that
boy.
was such a my boy John. And I liked how the story wasn't like too cheesy with that. I mean, with the horror stuff, like, you know, it's just that like hero save the day. It was more about, you know, Sandy, about her life, you know, what she didn't want this life at all. And it was like completely driven by men, and she didn't have control over it. So, and
yeah,
the
her
desires that,
dreams. Yeah, her
yeah,
dreams were shattered by these people who are taking advantage of her constantly. But they never play they never play the blame game. You know, they never say Sandy is the villain. I was worried again. I was worried at a certain point they might be like, Sandy is the villain, she's doing wrong things. And yes, you know, killing people was horrible, but you know, these men 100% deserved it. And I think, you know, what is so good is that it, you know, it reminds you continuously, even after she's, you know, gone mad and is trying to kill Ellie and John, they remind you the whole time that Sandy is a victim, and that's exactly what she is. You know, she doesn't get like justice from the police. She doesn't, you know, get killed by Ellie. She realizes, you know, that she is going too far, but she also realizes that, you know, what has happened, you know, nobody but Ellie could understand it, and that all these things will keep on happening, and that, you know, she can't live like that. And I think it's a really, you know, it's almost a metaphor for how, I mean, it basically is pretty blatant, in fact, representation of how, you know, these men and the way they treat women can just destroy their lives, and, you know, not just their hopes and dreams, but, you know, who they are. Like, old Sandy is so within herself, you know, she's not at all what she was like when she was younger. You know, she's colder and she is mistrusting of men, as you would be. She doesn't even, I might be wrong about this, but she doesn't even step inside the room until the end, when she's overwhelmed by the spirits of all the people she killed.
Yeah, I don't think she really steps into the room. I think she just like steps out. No, she didn't.
I'm rewatching this film on Thursday, so I'll find out. But this is one of those films that I feel like a rewatch is going to be really interesting, because you're going to see characters and you'll read them in a different way.
Yeah. And what was going to say? Like this sad, like the juxtaposition, like, you know, Ellie is going through the same dreams as what Sandy was gonna, you know, she wanted this, like, this whole glamorous life, you know, that she wanted to be a singer, she wanted to be on the stage, and that like Ellie saw those dreams, you know, like, as, you know, as really ambitious, you know, really hopeful dreams, but then those dreams turn into nightmares. And, you know, what Sandy has been through, and being used and just like not treated as, you know, what as everyone else was, we thought that she was going to be a huge singer, especially the audition that Sandy did.
Yeah,
And
she was really
yeah,
good. And
it's
the
just,
way that, yeah, go on.
oh, sorry. And it was just like really heartbreaking, because she wanted to be somebody else, but then like someone like just trying to, um, you know, trying to get Sandy, trying to use her as like like a statue for some like a statue. She can't do anything,
Yeah.
and especially when Jack like sticks up for Sandy when the other guy was calling her names and everything,
Mm.
and and then that was like a sick thing, like later on the laughing, we realize, oh, they're not enemies, they're just friends and
Yeah,
trying to get
was this all set up, like also they could
yeah
get, Sandy involved in this ring? Like, if so, that is like horrific. The way that this film carries the audience, and aligns them with, I think the opening of this film with, leaving home and going to uni, I've just started uni myself. And I am still living at home, but I can still really understand a lot of the stuff that Ellie was going through, like with like the people she's meeting and like the house parties and stuff like that, and the way that makes it feel really uncomfortable. Like that stuff, I felt really resonated with me. And then the way that the film then carries the audience through, and shows how much Ellie is struggling, and but then takes them off to this whimsical fantasy of the 60s. You feel that you're elated in the same way that Ellie is elated when she first goes to the 60s. And then the second time again she sees the club, you get the audition. I think it builds it so well for that almost like perfect kind of climax where she goes to see Sandy performing, but Sandy is a background dancer in this really erotic dance, that where all like the men are like leering and jeering and whooping. It's so well how they make you feel safe and make you feel like you're like having a fun time along with Ellie and Sandy, and then they kind of crash you back into reality. And I think that was so good, the way that the plot just flips from having
yeah
fun in the 60s to being terrified of what's happening.
yeah it's just really sad, and then the whole like there's like a whole mirror between what Sandy is going through, but also what Ellie is going through as well. Like she's trying to make new friends at uni, but it doesn't go well. Sandy's trying to go on stage, but it leads to a different path. And that Ellie is seen as this person who, her mother who killed herself, and then everyone like sees her as this crazy person, and that like it mirrors between like with Ellie and Sandy. They want to do something else. They want to be stick with their legacy. They want to be someone else. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
with Ellie's mother wanted to be a fashion designer. I think what the grant said. Yeah, what Grant said. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And the heartbreaking thing like throughout the film was like Gran. She was like really sticking out for Ellie throughout the film. Like, are you okay? Do you want some help? Do you want to go back home? And that was like they're kind of personal because people are just really looking out for you. But then that support, but that Sandy didn't have. She was like alone. She had nowhere to go. But it's that whole idea of like what she needed, Sandy. So yeah.
Yeah. I think Sandy didn't have anyone there for her, no one to look out for her. And
Oh.
I think that, whereas Ellie does, and she doesn't utilize it. And therefore, it gets a whole, things get a lot worse than they could have. I have to say the one, like the one thing that I didn't like in this film, or just I didn't think I think could have been improved, was the whole plot line with Ellie's grandma and with her mother. I know that her grand's supposed to be quite like absent and like trying to kind of connect, but I did feel that kind of got a bit lost between everything else. At the end there's a really nice moment where she's where Ellie sees her mum in the mirror again and, you know, knows that she's proud of her. And I think that's really, really nice. But, you know, it could have been a little bit more developed throughout the film. But I completely agree that, you know, the way that, you know, they kind of present her as kind of crazy throughout the film. There's an amazing scene in the library where she's running from all these voices and all these like spirits, you know, that are kind of like trying to like, as we later on find out, they're trying to get her help, but she thinks they're trying to like kill her. And it's so good because you can see her, you can see these spirits are the people around her, and she has scissors in her hand, she's ready to strike one of them. And I think what's so good about it is that I expected her to strike the librarian or something, but the fact that she then almost like stabs Jocasta, who, you know, isn't, who is a horrible person to her, like, you know, she's attention seeking, and she's so clearly insecure, but like, you know, it has been really horrible to Ellie throughout, all the way throughout. But then, you know, doesn't deserve to be killed like that. And the way that like it shocks you with that almost killing of her, you know, in a way, you know, it almost like makes you question, you know, Ellie's sanity in those kind of moments.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing that really stood out for me was the beginning of the film. Oh wait, no, the beginning and the ending of the film is a massive juxtaposition if you think about it, because the beginning is like Ellie wearing this paper mache dress that she was wearing and dancing around, and then at the end she's at the, you know, fashion show showing her clothes and like having that dream to show her clothes and, you know, being proud.
It's become a reality.
Yeah, it's become reality. And, you know, she didn't follow the mistakes, you know, of what Sandy did, you know. You just follow your passion, but then don't be like misled by other people. But she had John and Gran, and, you know, that's what kept her going. But she was like alone, and if John and Gran weren't there for her, the toxic girls in a group would have like really consumed the they just want to put her into a dark place. So
exactly, it's a very simple like example, and I think Edgar Wright, he's always doing this. He's always, you know, he's always got one part of the film that is then called back to later on. And, you know, like with, for example, in Baby Driver, he has the vision of him leaving his life and Debbie waiting for him in front of the car. And then at the end of the film, he comes out of prison and he sees Debbie waiting for him in front of the car. And then, you know, the black and white comes to color. That kind of thing. Edgar Wright does that all the time, and I love it. And in this case, you know, it's very much kind of like, it's that simple, you know, thing of like everything is going to be all right, and, you know, she's achieved her dreams, and is also honoring Sandy as well. Again, like, you know, she pities Sandy. She doesn't, like, she's not scared of her. She's not, you know, it's not like, you know, oh, this woman was a murderer and a horrible person. It's more like, you know, she was used, and I'm going to, you know, in some way honor her through my dresses, which is what she does, like on the catwalk at the end. And I think that is just, you know, so good for a film that, I must say, this is probably one of the most terrifying and uncomfortable films I've ever watched. You know, I've seen plenty of horror films at the cinema, but this one was so good, and I think definitely one of the better ones that I've seen, and, you know, in its tackling of the subjects, and also in the way that it also goes pretty like hard out horror as well, you know, and it does that really, really well. But the way that you know, the way that most of the time it's dark, and, you know, especially after she discovers, you know, Sandy, you know, like in that marionette dance, you know, from there things go really bad, and, you know, it's all very horrific. But then after that, you know, you get the ending, and it makes the happy moments so much more kind of impactful and important. You know, I think it was a good idea to, a lot of horror movies want to end on like a really big moment, or like a, you know, a bit of a cliffhanger. And I guess this does end on a cliffhanger, because in a way, because she sees Sandy in the mirror, whatever that means. I'm not imagining that, right? She definitely sees Sandy in the mirror at the end.
She does see Sandy at the end.
Yeah, right. Okay. I thought I was imagining that for a second. No, that definitely happens. but yeah, like it ends on a good note, and I think the idea of that is, we're showing hope. We're showing this, this young woman who is, like achieving her dreams and not being like broken down. Even at the end, the toxic girls, kind of, even though like a lot of them don't really have any reason to, they give her a bit of a smile, and they kind of like accept her, accept her merits. The whole, like immediately from the time she goes to uni, they're like, oh, you made what you wore, that's so cute, and like, they're always like talking down to her, but I think the fact that they end it on equal terms, it's a hopeful end, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. That wholesome ending to Ellie, and what she really deserved, what she'd
Mm.
been through. Yeah. Um, the soundtrack really is an also great thing throughout the film that is just used perfectly, and especially what Quentin Tarantino said to Edgar Wright about the one
Yes.
song that could be used as the title for a great film, what Last Night in Soho, and that was used in the credits. So
Yeah.
thanks Tarantino for
Yeah,
helping Edgar Wright for making this masterpiece. So
definitely, 100%. I
yeah,
mean, we owe it all to him. But yeah, no, I agree. I think the music, as you've already said, the music was amazing, in so many ways. And Edgar Wright, he kind of just keeps on topping himself the way that he does it. But one of the things that I thought was really really clever was the police officer twist. Now that was so cool. In the film, we get this character played by Terrence Stamp, who is constantly kind of like in view, I guess. And we're not really sure like what kind of person he is. He's a bit dangerous, and like there is that kind of assumption that he is going to be one of those toxic males. But what I think was so good about that was the way that the audience and Ellie are like 100% sure that he is old Jack. He killed Sandy,
uh,
and she needs to get justice for it. But then, like, his surprise death, which reveals that he was in fact the police officer played by Sam Claflin earlier on, which I think is incredible because when the actor showed up, I was like, oh, that's a name I know in a bit of a small role, but the way that role is recontextualized is incredible, and again, I think there's also a little theme about the police being a bit useless in this film. Like she goes to the police, and half of them don't believe, the other half think she's a bit mental, and then even in the 60s, Sandy literally talks to a policeman. She talks to Lindsay, and he's like, he doesn't do anything, like he could help her, he could like try and expose what's happening here, and shut it down in some aspect, but he doesn't. And then the way that like he's then become this grizzled old man who we're so sure is the villain. And then the fact that they hit us with the 1-2 like punch of the twists, the first twist being that he is not Jack, he's a police officer, and then the second hit of Mrs. Collins is actually Sandy, and she didn't die, but she killed everyone else. I think
yeah,
I just
it's
think
like
it's genius.
it's just like that whole double meaning throughout the film. Like we thought that Sandy got killed, but actually, it's her killing her dreams. So yeah, well,
Yeah,
killing like her own self, really. Like she didn't want this life, but then her evil side really took that. So yeah,
definitely,
uh,
100%. I think the scene where John and Ellie come back from the club, and they're in bed together, and then we see for the first time that Sandy and Jack are struggling with the knife. That was
yeah,
just brilliant. Like you're so sure that that she's been killed, because obviously that is exactly what they want you to think. That's exactly how the film points to that. But no, not at all. It's the opposite. But that scene is brilliant because it escalates, and you're kind of following these two kind of like point of views. You've got Ellie's point of view where she's seeing these things happen and it's horrendous, and then John's point of view of confusion, and the mirror breaks, and almost as if like her whole world is like smashed. The whole way that it does it is so good, and it adds so many layers with the fact that she might be crazy, which is added to the with Jocasta handing her a drink, which might have been spiked, and maybe she's questioning her own sanity, and how like even when she's out of that room, she keeps on getting these visions. Just think that it's a very tight plot. Edgar Wright, again, he's so good at writing tightly. He rarely ever wastes a moment of screen time. I think this film is exactly the same. None of it's wasted. It's all very, very intelligently put together. Yeah. What more can I say?
The editing, I love this. It's just the transitions. Like the first dream sequence was, like the smooth transitions to her sleeping. And and another detail I really loved was the red light. Like that was like her showing that she's back into the past, but also her past is the past is catching up to Ellie, and like she's wrapped up in this whole mess. So the
neon colors throughout the film, I think are so effective in kind of like any film study student will know that like red has so many connotations: danger, love, lust, blood. And I think this one, it uses red in a perfect way. Yes, it's dangerous. Yes, it's lustful. It has that connotation of blood for so many different reasons. There's also kind of like that, like rose tinted like whimsy, of the 60s with it. And I think it really works well. The way that they shoot the 60s compared to the modern day is a little less visually interesting. And I think that's kind of the point, because we're seeing this through Ellie's eyes. So the modern day, is grayer, and by no means is it boring. It's not gray in the way that I would critique an MCU film for being gray. It's still beautiful. When she goes to London, you appreciate London as much as she does, and they present it, you can tell that Edgar Wright, loves London himself, the way that he's presenting it to you. And the cinematographer is actually the cinematographer who's going to be doing Kenobi. So that's going to be really cool. It'll be really interesting to see.
No way.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how how he does something in Star Wars. But like they present all this to you, and then the 60s, because at first, at least, because Ellie really wants to be in the 60s, she sees it like as such this vibrant and like neon filled like place, and so much more kind of, it's where she's like kind of at home more than anywhere else. And I think that's so cool.
So cool. What else? The performance from Anna Taylor-Joy and Mackenzie. Tom, is it Thomasin McKenzie?
Yeah, Thomasin McKenzie, that's right.
Yeah, and the performance from them is just great. Like they just really mirrored each other's lives, and the performance is just great. And they really, really captured the whole horror thing to it. Like, sometimes with horror, it could be like really cheap acting, but like this one, it just felt like, they were just very passionate about it. And it's just like really great performance from them, especially at the end. The one thing that I noticed, but I'm not too sure, was that maybe throughout the film, Ellie was slowly changing accents, if I'm not too sure.
What, you kind of like being like she's becoming more like Sandy?
Yes.
Interesting. I think there definitely is.
Because her accent does change, like her, the way that she talked, it really changed, like throughout the film. That there was like a change of accent. I think they intentionally did that for the role, for the character of Sandy. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there definitely is a whole kind of point where, you know, Ellie is almost becoming Sandy and getting swept up in this kind of fantasy, and there is a danger that she will, you know, repeat the same kind of steps as Sandy, and therefore, you know, go down a similar route. You know, as you said, like if she kind of aligns herself with some of the toxic people who she's seeing. I mean, the way that like toxicity is all around in this film. I mentioned, you know, it's there when they go to the pub, you know, earlier in the film. But you know, as early as Ellie in the taxi, when you know she tells the guy, "Oh yeah, I'm a," because it again, the writing. This isn't just Edgar Wright writing the screenplay. It's I can't remember her name, but she wrote Wright in 1917 as well, so she's incredible. I will look up her name now, but they deliver exposition while also, you know, like beginning to present the um the kind of like overarching like, you know, theme of the film with the taxi driver. You know, she tells him that she's going to the fashion college, which is information to the audience, but then the guy uses that and says, "Oh, you could be a model, look at your lovely legs," and you know, starts to make her really uncomfortable. And then she wants to get out of the taxi, and you know, again, the audience is right there with her, you know, and they want her to get out because you know this is a really horrible situation. Who, what?
What?
Okay, I will find this person's name.
Oh,
Writer.
okay.
It's okay. So it's Edgar Wright and Christy Wilson Cairns. So yeah, she wrote 1917 and Last Night in Soho, which is, I mean, immediately that's a really good like double film, like to be writing like back to back. That's a really solid filmography, and that's a yeah, that's the first two films. That's incredible. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that is just like
like
incredible to have. Like, it's like, you know, 1917 was just an intense movie,
mm,
and as well, right, you know, doing Last Night in Soho, the screenplay is just amazing. You know, like what it goes through, like she can capture like the whole things. You know, she can. I think she maybe, you know, conveyed the whole message. Well, the thing to the screen. You know what I mean? Like she really put that. I can tell that she really wanted to have that on there, and I think, you know, Edgar and her and her as well, like working together to do this, and I think she did an excellent job on both of them. I think so.
definitely,
Yeah.
a lot of people credit 1917 and its use of the the editing to look like a one take as why it's so tense. And while I agree that is a huge part of it, I think from this film I'm now beginning to understand that a big part of 1917's tension and character alignment is the way that she's written the characters, because you know, I think, or Edgar Wright is already amazing at it. You look at all of his other films, he does a really good job at aligning up characters and building characters, you know, so strongly. But this is a really strong pairing, and I'd love to see them work together again. Like this, like I think this, you know, is the start of something completely different for Edgar Wright's career. As I said, it's not like any of his other films at all, and I love those films. I haven't seen Fistful of Fingers, but you know, I love them all. Love
I haven't seen
Space.
that either, so yeah.
No, but like whatever he does next, I want it to be different again. I want it to be, you know, radical and a different genre, and you know, like tackling like different themes. You know, there's so many things that he could do. Paw Patrol movie, you know, that's what you said that on a
Yeah.
Reddit thing, and he's like, I want to direct Paw Patrol. I'd watch it. I genuinely
Yeah.
would. Greta Gerwig's directing Barbie, so I'd watch Edgar Wright do Paw Patrol. Hell's yeah. Um,
Uh,
but
but
yeah, do you have anything else to say?
I just want to say that it's just, this film is just amazing, and you should see
Mm.
it. It
Oh,
is one of the best
100%.
films I've seen. It,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's definitely up there for the best films of this year.
it is not for the squeamish. I mean, there's a lot of like intense stuff throughout the film, and
Mm.
it really messes up your mind throughout the film. Like it just, I just can't. It's like very psychologically um horror, and I think they've just done that well. And I just like,
Mhm.
you know, going on the journey with these characters, and I'm glad that you know, it's just great having that, you know, understanding the characters throughout the film and on a
Yeah.
very intense scale and emotional driven. as well. But there's some great moments that I enjoyed throughout the film. The plot twist just worked slowly well. Like, we had to look through the details through the film. Like, the details weren't important for us the first time, but then once we think about it, like, oh my god, it just works. Like, I just love I love seeing details throughout the films, and why it's going to tie in to the bigger story of it. Yeah,
Definitely,
so
100%. I can't wait to rewatch it. Every horror film fan should see this.
Yes,
if you're a fan of Edgar Wright, you should watch it. Just in terms of films, if you're looking for something to watch at the moment, it really is an important film that I think everyone should watch. And it also has the added bonus of being very well paced. There's not a dull moment.
Yes.
You never feel like it's dragging.
No.
It's just under 2 hours long. It doesn't go on for ages. As I said before, it's not too preachy, but it has that important message. It's enjoyable. It's scary. And it has heart. It has heart. It has style. It has flair. And no matter what, even though I have criticisms, even though, and as I say, I have one criticism, it's not even a big deal, but still,
it's not even
like, it doesn't matter about, any of that stuff, because it, even if it wasn't as good as we're saying it is, it has so much to it. It has so much it wants to say. It has so much heart and style. And I think that is more important than anything, more important than plot logic, more important than any of that stuff. I think it does it so incredibly well.
Yeah. And it just works. Like, the film storyline is just like a puzzle piece, and it just works so well. But this is the experience. This is a must-have experience in the cinema. It's just like,
oh yeah, 100%.
So
this ain't the film.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, anyone who knows Edgar Wright knows that. Not personally, but everyone who knows Edgar Wright will know that he loves the cinema. He is a huge advocate of the cinema experience, and this film is 100% with that. If you're not watching this film on the big screen, you're not going to get half the same experience as everyone else does, because that's what makes it so good, seeing it on the big screen and getting all these impactful moments.
Yeah. It's just, I'm still processing about the greatness of this film.
I could hear your brain just being like, whoa, like, just like, whoa. Then amazing.
So we know what everyone's going to think we're going to give out 10. We know everyone's going to know.
I'll let you go first.
10.
Nice. I'm gonna give it 9 because
what?
Yeah, right. It's so petty. It really is. But I'm gonna give it a 9.
Why?
I just feel like the family plot line gets a little bit lost with everything else going on. It's a small critique. I know. I might not have that critique when I go and rewatch it, but yeah. But I can't argue with the 10 out of 10. It was amazing. I think if anyone doesn't want to watch it because various critics are saying stupid things like it's not sexy enough, or that it's a feminist film, just shut up.
It's
watch
not even
it.
Feminist.
It's amazing. I mean, it's pretty feminist, but it's not like it's
a little bit, but not really. Yeah, really.
It's not like in the way that some people would critique stuff like Captain Marvel or Endgame. As I say, it's not hugely preachy, but it does it all so well. Watch it. Just watch it. What are you doing listening to us? Go out to cinema right now. Go watch it.
Go. Yeah. Wait, why are you listening to this whole thing? Unless you watch the film. I mean, actually.
Yeah, well,
but anyway,
if you've watched the film, go watch it again. Oh, and don't, if anyone hasn't watched it yet, don't buy popcorn. I would say that this film already made me feel sick, like, some of the stuff that happens in it. Just don't eat during it. It's just a bad idea. Definitely.
It's a really bad idea. Like, it just really messes up your mind, and like, it's just like really psychologically so uncomfortable, but yeah. So see it.
Yeah, please just go and see it. And let's move on now. That this Zoom call should have ended about 5 minutes ago, but it hasn't. So
Huh?
we're just gonna continue. And if it ends abruptly, there we go. I want to talk about a trailer this week. We've got 2 trailers that I want to talk about. The first one, let's talk about the Spider-Man Lotus official trailer.
Ah,
Oh, oh,
this trailer, man.
dude. Now we spoke about
Dude.
Spider-Man Lotus when the teaser was released, and I didn't think it could get any better. It's like the Batman teaser. I thought, okay, this is great, but the official trailer won't be as good. The official trailer for Spider-Man Lotus was amazing. It really was. If anyone doesn't know, Spider-Man Lotus is a fan film, which is adapting the Spider-Man story, Spider-Man Blue, and the death of the Stacys. It's kind of, and it's dealing with Spider-Man in the direct aftermath of Gwen Stacy's death, and it looks incredible. I mean, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen that many fan films in my life, but this looks like something really, really cool, really special. And there's so many things. I mean, yeah, what do you think?
Just amazing. Like,
Yeah,
it just looks like a high budget Marvel film, but this is just a lot of
good.
heart and soul into this. This is going to be like heart and soul into this fan film. Made. It's just like, wow. I mean, with the cinematography, it's just like not too. Well, like sometimes with fan films, you just get with the camera like can get like a bit weird sometimes. But no, this just looks like really professionally made, and the way that the tone throughout the film is just like really heavy. And it's like it's going to be like a really personal Spider-Man film. I don't think we had like a proper one, but we did have like Amazing Spider-Man 2. No, sorry, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, well, we haven't had a really like personal Spider-Man film since, tentatively, I'll say since Amazing Spider-Man 1. Obviously every week we're getting closer to rewatching the Spider-Man films. But yeah, I would say Amazing Spider-Man, the first one. Yeah, it does look like it's going to delve into these characters, in a way that we haven't had for so long, and in a way that they really deserve to be delved into. Like at the end, this trailer isn't, focused upon action or any of the things that, modern comic book film trailers are focused on. There is one shot of Spider-Man swinging. The ending teases the Green Goblin, but it's all focused on the characters. It's all focused on, there's this brilliant line, which is like, in my opinion, this line, which isn't the first time it's been said, but this line is it's up there with great power comes great responsibility. And he says, "I'm Spider-Man not because I want to be, because I have to be." Something along those lines. I think that's exactly the quote. But yeah, like, that is just exactly to me what Spider-Man should be. He's somebody who does what he does, because he has to be, because he has to. And it's just so good. I'm so happy with how it looks.
Yeah. I mean, you followed the whole thing. I completely forgot about Spider-Man Lotus. And oh my god, I'm looking forward to it, man. Like the soundtrack with the score is just like, and you told me that one of the directors texted him about it.
Yes, the director of Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, and soon to be Fantastic Four, John Watts, who a lot of people will know has a really big background in like short fan films and like student films. He texted, DM'd on Instagram, I think, the director of this, Gavin J. Conop, I think his name is, and he said, "Oh, this looks amazing. I know this," and he sent him a Spider-Man Raimi GIF. And everyone on Spider-Man Twitter went crazy because, but it's so cool to see them, like appreciating it, because it does look amazing. And there's so much work goes into it. Like, for example, do you remember a while back, there was a leak of a Spider-Man No Way Home toy, and it was of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Yeah.
Are you ready to have your mind blown?
No.
That was CGI. done by the team who are making Spider-Man Lotus. That was a fake image made. Both the images. There's an image of it like on the shelf, and then like at somebody who had it, and that was fabricated, made by the team who worked on Lotus. Not kidding.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, so like one of the big things that everybody thought, oh, yeah, this means that Toby is definitely in it because of this leak. That was just made by them for fun, and they released it just as like a joke.
No way.
Yeah,
No way.
100%. I'm not lying.
You showed me this, didn't you?
Yeah, we were japed.
And oh my god.
Yeah,
right.
Honestly, as I said, that there is one shot from the trailer of Peter swinging, and that CGI isn't finished yet, but the CGI team has done some really cool stuff. There's this image I'm sending you now, this image of Spider-Man, which is of him in his suit, which again looks amazing. That suit looks brilliant, right?
That is so well made.
That's CGI again.
No, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm really excited now. I want to see this now. I can tell that was CGI. I thought that was like really costume made. No,
that's what everyone thought, and then they released like an image that was like showing you that they were making it like that it was rendered, and like that is
no. You're kidding me. You're kidding me. No,
I am not. I am as surprised as you. Yeah. Honestly, this film has so much talent and passion behind it. And honestly, that's the dream. Honestly, like they're doing this for free as well. Then this isn't obviously if it was getting any profit, it would be against the law. But they are doing it, non-profit. They're just doing it because they're fans, and I think that is amazing. I really do. I think that they are doing something special. And even if No Way Home sucks, we will have Spider-Man Lotus I really hope it's good. I really do. Looks amazing.
Bro, I'm just amazed. This CGI is better than Endgame.
No, yeah, it is. It's better than literally some like Justice League, right? It's better than Justice League. And that was like a multi-million-dollar. Like I can't say with all in all confidence that this film isn't multi-million dollars, because that is incredible. But some big budget films aren't this good, so it really is astounding, isn't it?
Yeah,
I feel like I've broken your brain now.
I'm sorry. That is just amazing CGI. Oh my god! Right, what's the next?
The next trailer we're talking about is Lightyear. So this was announced last year.
Lightyear, yeah, yes,
yeah, announced as part of Disney Investor Day last year, and it's a film about the real life in Pixar astronaut that inspired Buzz Lightyear, the toy, and now we have a trailer for it. What do you think?
It's something. I just didn't expect this at all from to be this kind of film. You know what I mean? Like I thought
it looks like First Man or something. It really
does.
Yeah, it looks like something.
It really does.
Obviously, Pixar these days, you get two kinds of films from Pixar. You get your souls, you get your kind of like Toy Story 4s, your deep, like methodical films that are, that have a real big appeal for adults. And I think all of Pixar's films, maybe apart from Cars 2, have an adult appeal. But then you have like the more fun kind of films like Luca and Onward, and it looks like Turning Red, and they all have, really like deep themes and really, really emotional moments. But this one looks like it's one of the ones that's geared towards adults. This really looks, like they are doing some really like deep space exploration and, proper going down that 2001 Interstellar route where it's incredible visuals and sequences, and it's going to be like a tender story about an astronaut and friendship, but they're really doing it. Like they've got a realistic version of Buzz's suit. Like, it's insane, and it looks cool as well. How
Yeah,
how did that happen?
It looks cool. It's crazy, what Disney is going to do with this whole Buzz Lightyear story. And, we've seen it as a toy, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's better than doing Toy Story 5, because Toy Story 3 ended the story. Toy Story 4 was a really nice epilogue, and Lightyear is a good idea for a spin-off, because I think that the whole concept of making another Toy Story film is always dangerous. I think in this way it doesn't have to ruin anything else that has come before it. But I have no doubt that it will also be good. I think they've always struggled with Buzz. Buzz has got he's got a great arc in Toy Story and Toy Story 2. And in 3 and 4, I don't dislike him. But he doesn't have, like, they switch him back to factory settings in 3, which is basically what they do in 2 with the alternate version of Buzz. And then in 4, they have him listening to his inner voice. They kind of struggled with him in those last 2 films. But this, they don't have to tell a story about the toy itself. They're telling a story about the person who's based off. And I think that is so much, like, more interesting than just making another Toy Story film, or a film about Buzz that is actually just a toy. So I think it looks cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I just don't know what's going to happen. I just don't know what to expect in this whole film. So, yeah. So,
me neither.
Me neither. Right. I think I don't know what to say much about Lightyear. I just don't know. It's just going to be something entirely different.
Yeah. I agree. Let's do a little bit of viewing, because we didn't just watch Last Night in Soho. We also then watched Blade. Blade for a 4K. Oh, this is gonna be Venom all over again. We watched it for 4K restoration. First time that either of us have seen it, and this is one of the earliest Marvel films. So this is before X-Men, before Spider-Man. Really famous. What did you think?
It was wild.
It was wild.
I mean, like, going in blind, like, that was good. I mean, like, going in blind, I thought that was, like, the highlight of the film. Like, I was like, okay, that's good. I'm enjoying, like, some of the stuff that I didn't know, but there was, like, a lot of questionable stuff that happened in this film.
Oh, you're talking about the nearly incest scene. It was almost incest.
What the heck was that? I don't understand.
I don't know. I guess they're vampires, so they're all horny, I guess. But yeah, I agree with you. All I knew about Blade was that he is a vampire who hunts other vampires. And I thought that was really cool concept.
But that's what I got as well. It's just like vampires and that's it. And I can definitely say this. This is a better film. This is way better than Twilight. I can say that.
Well, it's not difficult to make a film better than Twilight, but yeah, I agree. But it's also one of those films that I wouldn't call it, like, amazing. Not really. However,
no.
It's so fun. It's like a Fast and
film.
Yeah, it's like a Fast and Furious film. It just doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's just heaps and heaps of fun. Like, there is an incredible moment. John, you know the moment I mean. When right at the end, this guy has Blade's sunglasses, and he jumps to attack Blade, and Blade slices him in half, slices his head off, I think, and he disintegrates, and the sunglasses fly in the air, and Blade catches them and he puts them on, and it was just literally, it was like Cap catching the hammer. I had an out of body experience. I was just so happy. Like, it was honestly just cinema at its finest, just like giving us that incredible payoff. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. This film might not be the best. It might be, like, really by the numbers and cheesy, but my God, it's fun. It's cool. It's got loads of heart. And it was stylish as well, wasn't it?
It was just so fun to watch. Like, I know what the censor style it's going to go through. and like it's not going to be like hugely serious, but I thought it was going to be serious, but no, it was just like really fun to watch, and it really gave us like the world of Blade. But there was like
Mm.
really some of the stuff that like it was one of the earliest superhero films if you think about it. Like this was made
Oh yeah.
in the 90s.
Yeah, 90s. So this would have
Yeah,
been
90s.
like just as DC were dropping off the map. You know, they'd made Superman, and then they were making Superman 3 and 4, and then they were making Batman and making Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. So DC was kind of struggling, and Marvel was just about to kind of get going. Obviously before they started struggling themselves, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how the MCU will do this. This film isn't 18; it's properly R-rated. It goes all out. In the first 20 minutes, you get a literal bloodbath. Like, you know, like Blade just comes in, he starts just like killing people in the most horrific manner. Someone gets burnt alive. You know, it's mad. And I don't know how the MCU is going to water down this concept for a child-friendly audience. Like, I mean,
It's
I'm sure they can do it, but will they do it well? I have no idea.
because Blade like is such like a really huge. It's going to be risky though. I just don't know how
Mm.
they're going to do that. But like throughout the film, it's just like so crazy. And it's just like really fun. Like later on, where Blade has the final fight with Frost, and then Frost gets chopped in half, but then comes back as alive, and then he just turns around like, "What?"
Yeah,
just
he just mouths like, "What the fuck?" And everyone in the cinema laughed. And I don't know. I assume that most people in the cinema had seen that film before, but it was. I feel there was a really nice energy in the room, and it was just
yeah,
so fun. Like
yeah, yeah.
it is why people like Fast and Furious. It's why I loved Venom: Let There Be Carnage. It was fun. It didn't try to be anything other than that. You know, it took itself seriously, but it also didn't. I think that is the best kind of thing. You know, it creates so many amazing things. I understand the hype, I really do. I don't think I'll watch Blade 2 or 3 anytime soon.
I
I'm not
don't
too
know,
bothered.
but if it's going to be like really important to the MCU, then
Yeah,
okay.
well, maybe
Uh,
they might tie it in the multiverse
um,
or whatever. I guess it
yeah,
all counts now. But yeah, I think I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10.
yeah, same. Solid out of 10. It's just like
Yeah.
a fun film to go through, but yeah, I'm not really taking it serious. But yeah, 7 out of 10. It's just like okay, sure, why
Yeah,
not?
100%. Is there anything that you want to talk about for the viewing? I've got one other thing.
Um, mm, no,
Okay,
no,
that's all right.
yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'll quickly touch upon What We Do in the Shadows, series 3. Now I love What We Do in the Shadows, the film. Taika Waititi is incredible as a director. As people obviously know him for stuff like Jojo Rabbit and um Thor Ragnarok, but What We Do in the Shadows was only his second film, I believe. And is amazing about vampires living, and they made it into a TV show. And I think the first season is really, really good at adapting that concept and putting it in serialized nature. Series 2 isn't as good, but it's still like pretty good. Series 3 just broke me, man. There are no lasting consequences. There are, you know, it makes a joke out of everything. I know that it's a comedy show, but come on, there's no emotion to it. And it really annoyed me because the film is just like has such a profound message about friendship and immortality. And yes, it's funny, and yes, it cracks jokes a lot. And I think it really works in that context. But in the show, you know, there are so many moments. One of a big character in this season, I won't say who for spoilers' sake, but a big character dies this season. And when they died, they made a joke out of it. And they never took a moment to really explore what the characters were feeling after that death. You know, I feel like they just, you know, they kept on saying, oh, everyone's pushing their emotions down, but they never really explored how. And I was really disappointed, you know? I think
Wow.
this show could have been great, and you know it really had the opportunity to be. And I won't be watching season 4. I can't come back to it. I've
Oh
tried.
wow.
I really have
Really?
tried. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I talked about how good season 2 was on the pod before, and I had to say I've fallen out of love. But I did watch What We Do in the Shadows, the film, literally about like 5 hours ago because it's Halloween. Happy Halloween, and it was amazing. So there we
Happy
go.
Halloween, yeah. Happy Halloween,
Let's with that kind of somewhat depressing note, let's roll it out, shall we?
Okay, let's roll out. Okay, thank you everyone for listening in for our one of the best films we've seen today. We enjoyed talking about it, and
yes.
And you should see it. Come on. By the time you're listening to this
Do
now,
it.
you skip all the way to the weekly viewing. What the heck are you doing? Come on. Last night in Soho. What are you doing, you crazy person? Go see it.
You're a madman.
You're a madman. And
You're Batman.
But yeah. Oh, wait. Where was that? Yeah. Wash your hands. Because
Yes.
you know we gotta stay safe. Wear your mask in the cinema, please. Please wear your mask in the cinema because we wore this masks in the cinema. It's not too bad. Come on, it's just good. You just protect yourself.
I tell you what, though, we ate it. We had just eaten food at Wagamama, and I had a really spicy dish. Oh, it was painful wearing a mask after that. I'll tell you what. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Like throughout the film or something like watching.
Yeah, no, I was fine, but I did have to take a break and have some water halfway through. I was just like, oh, I'm dying. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. It just makes sense, doesn't it? And you know, you can subscribe if you want to see more. Hit the bell if you want to hear more from us, or get in touch with us about your opinions on anything. Last Night in Soho, Spider-Man, Lotus, Lightyear, Blade, What We Did in Shadows. Give us an email, outstimefilmpod@gmail.com. It's in the link in the description, or you can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at Outside Film Pod. I've been doing a lot on Twitter recently, so you can get various opinions from me there. And yeah, next week we're doing Eternals, which I'm excited for, but it's supposed to be not that good. So is this the film that is going to crack the MCU? Who knows? Tune in if you want to hear our thoughts next week, and you can listen to us talk about things last week. We did Doom, and we've done No Time to Die and Let There Be Carnage, you know, various films in the past. And then, so yeah, next week's Eternals. Week after that is French Dispatch. Week after that is Ghostbusters. And then we're starting our Spider-Man retrospective. Going to be so much fun. And I think that's everything. Doctor Who starts tonight. It's the series 13.
Wait,
I'm not excited.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this is the final series. This is the final season for Jodie Whittaker. As the Doctor and Chris Chibnall writing.
What? Wait. I didn't get notified about this. Oh, okay. I'm good now. I'm good. Thank you.
No, yeah, it's starting again. I'm not looking forward to it, but I guess I'm a fan. I wish I could quit, but I really can't. And there we go. I can't believe, I swear Zoom calls are supposed to last 40 minutes long. This has been going for an hour and 5. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is it. So yeah, take us out.
Right, that's it. Yeah. Right. Okay. Take what you're giving.
Give nothing back.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.